give some advice to freshmen who are going to graduate?
Listen to your bosses, don't do anything silly.
Do you think they should always listen to their boss?
You should always listen, doesn't mean you always do what they say.
职场新鲜人第一份工作该怎么选？在职场又该注意哪些事情呢？不同国家的人对第一份工作会有不同观点吗？
When choosing a first job, what factor did you consider?
Job? I needed money. I needed a job, so whatever came up first I was going to take, probably.
能确定呢？
And it was a small accounting firm. It felt like the right sort of step for me rather than a big firm.
Bigger company because someone told me it's easier to start as a big company and then if you don't like it, go to a small company. But if you start at a very small, it's hard to go back to the bigger ones.
I would evaluate it based on three things. What would I learn? What is my salary going to be? What kind of network or team will I be a part of?
Actually, the factor wasn't the money. The main factor also was because I wanted to work with people and I enjoy working with people. I love working with all people. There wasn't the money. I know. Yeah, of course you make money, but it was not about the money.
Did you mess up something in your first job?
I made a lot of mistakes. I still make a lot of mistakes and I still mess up a lot. I know with that first job in the theater that at some point we had sort of a situation and a big newspaper came to do an interview and they interviewed me and then afterwards my director said like I would have liked to do that interview. It shouldn't have been you actually. And I was in the newspaper and she wasn't.
I work in IT. Sometimes you get much power, and sometimes I remove the access of some managers in an application, and they didn't know that was me.
I have given someone who ordered something, they order a size they wanted. I might have quite made a mistake and put the wrong size in the package and realized, or I put the wrong color, but it's okay.
After some accident, what did you think you learned?
When the customer come back, be like, oh, this is the wrong size, everything else. So, okay, no problem. Don't argue with the customer and just...
Work and life is about making mistakes and learning from them and getting better, and so it's perfectly fine. If you don't make mistakes, you're not trying, you're not doing well. So don't be afraid, and also try to be open about your mistakes because then people can advise you how to do better. And I think usually if you try to hide it, people don't really like it. But if you're transparent and just say like, oh, I misunderstood, then they will help you to get better.
Can you give some advice to freshmen who are going to graduate?
Be cautious also with some opportunities you have that you think it's good, but it's not really good. Never get the first thing you have. Always look for many things, for many opportunities, many jobs. Never get the first one.
Listen to your bosses, learn from people around you, don't do anything silly, don't stress out, you're young, you learn on the go and do your best.
Do you think they should always listen to their boss?
You should always listen, doesn't mean you always do what they say.
No
one really likes someone who try too hard. So give yourself time, try, but also give yourself patience.
Be careful with what you share in your office. Make sure you have a good professional reputation.
Do not get involved into the gossip. People have their friends. It's better to be neutral. Gossip or getting into talking what's going on in the company, something you may find yourself in trouble.
I think getting to know, you spend so many hours with the people you work with, getting to know them really well and becoming friends or at least work friends is an important thing. Yeah.
Some people say that colleagues cannot be friends. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree. I separate it to some extent and I behave different on a personal party than on a work party. I think it's a different scene and setting. I think if you click really well with someone and you want to see them in private life as well, there's nothing wrong with that.
You can have your dream job, but if your team and the people you work with daily are not nice, then it's not going to be a fun experience for you.
You work with different culture, different religion. It's very important to accept all people to enjoy your work and increase your career.
Most people think that the first job you should stay for at least a year. How do you think about this?
Yeah, because this is the base. This is very important. When you have the good base in your first job, your next work is more high money, more high experience.
但是真的受不了，1年离开可以啦。可是如果你重复1年离开再一次，人家都不会相信你。 年轻人呢，需要建立一种信任，人家觉得你是可靠的。
Don't leave it after 2 months or 3 months. Be consistent, stay for at least a year or two, maybe, learn the trade, and then you're ready to move. But if it's working at McDonald's, fine, move to Burger King. But if you're working a professional job, you don't want it to appear like you are not stable, that you can't be trusted to stay there. So why would they train you when they can train somebody who they think will stay 2, 5, 10 years?
No, I don't think so. I think if you're really unhappy, it will show in the work that you do. And I feel like it's always better to put your own happiness first, because you will not be a good colleague or employee if you don't.
When you quit your first job, what factor did you consider at the time?
I considered the team I was on, who I was working with, and what I was learning, and I wasn't meeting expectations. That wasn't meeting my expectations. So I chose another company where that would meet my expectations, and it did.
Would you worry about the next job wouldn't better?
Yeah, definitely. I was nervous about leaving my first job because I had a job, and I was nervous about leaving that job, but I'm glad I did. I think I made the right choice in taking a risk.
Not many, I just wanted out. I needed a change.
快逃啊!
Because I was so unhappy in the job now, so I changed job.
Is one, the work balance, because my last work I not have this. In this work I work balance, for example, I in Taipei. So it's very important this when you change. And other the money.
You need to find a combination of what you like and what you're good at, basically, and then the situation will get there, it will become positive as well. But actually the job isn't great, then you will be sort of burned out in 5 or 10 years and it won't be a nice work life. So you need to do something that you're really good at, that you're really passionate about, and then you will be the best in that job as well. So that would be my advice, to focus on that versus the money.